What does a millionaire look like? Maybe you picture a man in a tailored suit, driving a luxury car through a gated community, or a woman in designer clothes, sipping expensive coffee while scrolling through investments on her tablet. That's what movies, magazines, and social media have taught us to believe. We associate wealth with luxury, status, and style. But what if the truth is the complete opposite? What if most millionaires don't look like millionaires at all? What if they live next door, quietly, humbly, and invisibly, while the people flaunting wealth are often drowning in debt? That's the question two researchers, Thomas J. Stanley and William D. Danko, set out to answer. And their discoveries forever changed how we understand money, success, and the psychology of the truly wealthy. Their journey became a classic, The Millionaire Next Door, a book that didn't just expose the secrets of the rich, it revealed the habits, character, and discipline that turn ordinary people into extraordinary accumulators of wealth. This isn't a story about luck. It's a story about behavior, the small, consistent choices that separate financial freedom from financial slavery. The discovery that changed everything. Back in the early 1990s, Dr. Thomas Stanley was studying the spending habits of affluent Americans. He expected to find that millionaires lived lavishly, large homes, luxury cars, expensive tastes. But as he dug into the data, something didn't add up. The people with the highest incomes were not necessarily the wealthiest. Many of them spent everything they earned trying to look rich. Meanwhile, some of the truly wealthy lived modestly, driving old cars, wearing ordinary clothes, and avoiding flashy lifestyles. Stanley's research turned into a national project. He and his co-author, William Danko, interviewed hundreds of millionaires. Not celebrities, not CEOs, but everyday people. Small business owners, farmers, engineers, teachers, and managers. And that's when they uncovered a pattern that shattered society's illusion of wealth. Most millionaires were self-made. They didn't inherit fortunes or win lotteries. They built their wealth slowly, through discipline, consistency, and a refusal to live beyond their means. Stanley called them the millionaires next door. The myth of income. One of the biggest lies we believe about wealth is this: the more you earn, the richer you are. But the millionaire next door proved this completely wrong. Many people with high incomes, doctors, lawyers, corporate executives, looked rich on the outside but were one financial setback away from bankruptcy. They had high consumption habits, not high wealth. They spent on image, not freedom. True wealth, Stanley discovered, wasn't measured by income. It was measured by net worth, the amount you keep after subtracting what you owe. And that's the first principle of the millionaire next door. It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep that counts. The average millionaire in Stanley's study didn't necessarily earn millions each year. Many made between $70,000 and $150,000 annually. But they invested wisely, lived frugally, and saved relentlessly. They knew that wealth is built quietly, not advertised loudly. The culture of pretend rich society has conditioned us to chase the symbols of wealth rather than wealth itself. We buy luxury cars to feel successful. We upgrade phones, clothes, and lifestyles to impress others, people who aren't even paying attention. In the book, Stanley calls this the trap of under-accumulators of wealth, or UAWs. These are people who look rich but aren't. They focus on displaying status instead of building stability. They work hard to maintain appearances, constantly under pressure to spend more, earn more, and keep up with others. But the millionaires next door, the PAWS, or prodigious accumulators of wealth, live by a different philosophy. They value independence over image, freedom over flash, and control over consumption. While the world is busy chasing attention, they're quietly chasing freedom. Who are the real millionaires? So who are these people really? According to Stanley's research, the average American millionaire was around 57 years old, married and often self-employed, a first-generation wealth builder, living in a modest neighborhood, not a luxury one, driving a car that's at least 5 years old, and spending far less than they could afford. They didn't care about social approval. They cared about financial independence, the power to choose how to spend their time. One of Stanley's interviews was with a man who owned a car repair business. He never earned more than $100,000 a year, but over 3 decades, he saved, invested, and built assets, and ended up with a net worth of over $3 million. When asked why he never upgraded his old pickup truck, he smiled and said, "It still runs fine. Why waste money fixing what isn't broken?" That one line summarized the entire philosophy of the Millionaire Next Door, the wealth formula. Stanley and Danko even developed a simple formula to determine if someone was wealthy for their age and income. Expected net worth, GREERS, age times annual income, divided by 10. If your actual net worth was twice that amount, you were a PAOW, a prodigious accumulator of wealth. If it was half that, you were a UAW, an under-accumulator of wealth. This wasn't just math. It was a mirror, a reflection of your financial habits. Because wealth, the authors said, isn't an accident. It's a result of intentional living. Every dollar saved, every decision postponed, every temptation resisted, all of it adds up to the quiet power of compounding wealth. The psychology of frugality. Here's what most people misunderstand. Millionaires don't save money because they're stingy. They save because they understand value. They know that every unnecessary purchase delays their freedom. They don't see money as something to spend. They see it as something that gives them control. In the book, Stanley calls frugality the cornerstone of wealth building. He found that the majority of millionaires budget carefully, plan their expenses, and track where their money goes. Not because they're obsessed with numbers, but because they're obsessed with freedom. To them, money is a tool for independence, not a measure of self-worth. That mindset shift is what separates the rich from the rest. Why most people stay broke. So why don't more people become millionaires? If the formula is simple, earn, save, invest, repeat, why doesn't everyone do it? Because money is emotional. Most people spend to feel good, not to get rich. They buy to belong, to impress, to escape stress or boredom. Stanley found that many underaccumulators of wealth shared one common trait. They were consumers first, investors second. They prioritized image over impact and short-term pleasure over long-term gain. In contrast, the millionaires next door didn't care what others thought. Their self-worth came from their achievements, not their appearance. They weren't trying to look rich. They were trying to be free. The moment of realization. There's a quiet power in realizing you don't need to impress anyone. That's when your money finally starts working for you. That's what Stanley and Danko discovered again and again. Their research showed that the real millionaires weren't chasing happiness through consumption. They found it through control. Control over their finances, control over their time, control over their choices, and ironically, that control gave them something money can't buy: peace of mind. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into how these millionaires actually live. What habits define them? How do they raise their children? What do they do with their money once they have it? We'll uncover the patterns that make ordinary people build extraordinary wealth, and how you can begin to live like the millionaire next door, no matter your income. Because wealth isn't about what you earn, it's about how you think.